time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome to an episode of Two Guys and a Goalie, brought to you by our great partners at CoolBet. If you only ever want to bet on hockey, they do have some Stanley Cup futures up over at CoolBet, but if you want to bet on everything else, including the Canadian Football League, Elks and Bombers tonight, you can do that at CoolBet. When you sign up for an account, use the code 2GUYS, number 2 in the word guys. You get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to 200 smackaroos. Boys, how's the week been? How you doing?
Good. A little worried about tonight, but I'm good.
Are you working the game tonight?
I'm working the game, and I think it's $2 wieners.
It's $2 wiener night?
I haven't seen wieners this cheap since. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of wiener. Me wrapping so much wiener tonight, Dusty. It's crazy. So
some sort of
getting mentally prepared.
Yeah. Did you spend the afternoon throwing wieners against the wall and having them bounce back to you like tennis balls?
I look like one of those guys in the 3-ring circus with the jugglers, Dusty, with wieners, though. It's quite a feat. Hopefully a win. We'll see what happens because, God, I'm on the worst streak besides the Elks for wins at home. This is awful.
Yeah, that's tough. But $2 wiener night might make people happy, so that'll certainly help. Oh yeah, go ahead.
And I gotta say, yesterday I was at a golf tournament with Craig Simpson's tournament out at Belvedere. I golfed with Justin, Doug, Liam, and Deb. I believe it's Deb. Deb's husband. She phoned him while we were golfing, and then she goes, "Oh, Joaquin. My husband listens to you. He thinks you're funny." So I forget her husband's name, but if he's listened to it, thanks for listening, buddy. Look forward to you. He's pumped about September 6th. So
good.
We'll look for you then.
Perfect. That's awesome. That's good. Cass, what's up with you, buddy? Anything new? What else is going on? You got any wieners you got to deal with tonight?
No wieners. I'll be watching the Elks game. Hopefully not crying. Because that would be good to finally have a little something from them. So I'll be watching that. Just hanging out with the family. Little brother's coming into town tonight from Toronto, so we'll get some family time in this weekend, which will be good.
We are I'm in the new offices working with this Rogers/Shaw internet for the first time, and it's streaming really well. I'm not even hooked up to the hard line yet. It's just the Wi-Fi. So, Gage, I don't know if things have upgraded since you installed that shitty internet at my house all those years ago, but things are pretty good right now, man.
Well, I did give you that extra cable, Dusty.
You did.
I gave you a little extra length.
You were a cable whore. You were just giving out extra cable to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the down low, I don't want Shaw to come back for billing me with extra cable length.
We're going to get to that Karlsson trade in just a second, boys. But, Cass, I noticed you're wearing your hat backwards. And I was going to tell you guys before, it's kind of something I've started to do recently as well. I always only would like to wear hats backward with no snapback. But now I've realized that I actually think it's more comfortable to wear the hat with the snap on the back backwards. It's completely changed my summer. You get the hair out through the middle. I think it just looks more natural. I'm a big fan of the look now.
I like it. I you know what? I do both. I don't know wage. Sometimes I do one, sometimes I do the other. But I hadn't done my hair today, and so I was like, I probably should throw on a hat.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know. Gager, do you wear hats at all? I don't know if I ever see you really in a hat.
I'm always wearing hats.
Are you?
I wear many hats, as you know, Dusty. I'm slinging wieners tonight. There's many hats that I wear.
I want to see you wear one of those chapeaux, like the little French sort of hat. I think you could pull that. I think you could pull that off.
God, you know what? It was this. I got the worst hat sent to me by my mother one time. I was playing hockey in Germany, and this is right after. Like the Twin Towers, and there's the war in Afghanistan and Bin Laden. My mom sends me an Afghani hat to wear, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I can't wear this. This is great, and it's bad but just the look of it, and during that time, it was just an unbelievable choice by my mother to send me that hat at that point. So, needless to say, that hat still lives in Kassel, Germany. That did not make the trip home.
I was going to ask if you still had it. You should have thrown it on. I mean,
No. I'm not traveling with that at that point, Cass. That's you crazy.
You wouldn't have been traveling. You would not have been allowed at that point.
I wouldn't be on this podcast. I'd be in Gitmo right now.
Yeah. Yeah. We'd still find a way to make the stream work.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have to worry about that. Yeah, we can still make that work. I remember, quick hat story myself, I had this bright neon colored hat when I was in elementary school. And one day on the school bus home, my sister took it off my head and threw it out the window of the bus. What? And I was livid. And I don't know, I must have been like, what was I, 11? She was 9. She was little, just an animal, like just classic little sister. So we got back to the farm. They dropped us off. I made my parents drive the bus route back to where the hat was, and it was gone. It was gone. I don't know if it blew away somewhere or somebody else stopped and picked it up, but I never saw that hat again.
You haven't talked to your sister since.
Yeah, exactly. And we went to a wedding over the weekend for my other sister, and I refused to talk to my other sister because of the hat. No, now all I wear is Coolbet branded hats everywhere I go. So, yes, as always, Two Guys a Goalie brought to you by Coolbet. All right, what do we make of this Karlsson trade? What do we make of Dubas taking over the Penguins, saying he was going to find a GM, then announcing himself as GM, which was awesome, and then making the trade for Erik Karlsson to add to a core that is near the end? And maybe they could make one more run at it, but I guess maybe that's where Karlsson needed to end up in the end. A group of guys who want to try to make one more run at it, kind of like him. Cass, what'd you think of this?
Maybe. I mean, I texted you guys the second that Dubas announced himself as GM. It was a Dwight King, Hay King moment. So if you've ever seen The Office and you've seen the episode, it's like they do like basically a fair in the parking lot, and it's like the hay fair, and at the end, like one of the kids is supposed to be named Hay King, like for the fair, and Dwight names himself Hay King. He's like, wow, well now it's the Hay King, and like all the little kids are looking expectantly and like excited, and he's like, I am the Hay King. And I just feel like that's almost what this moment was. Is like, yeah, we're gonna find a GM. I am that GM. Hires himself into the role, and you know what? Maybe moving from Toronto to Pittsburgh, where it's an expectant market, like they undoubtedly have expectations to win. As we see with the Karlsson trade, they still think they can win. But maybe from a role standpoint, it was like, well, no, you know what? I have enough in me to be able to do both of these roles, and so I'm gonna do it. And they probably gave him permission to. And it's not like Dubas hasn't been a GM. He's been a GM. He was just a GM. So not like it's crazy, but it was kind of a funny moment. But I'm intrigued by the Karlsson trade. Obviously it took a little bit to make it work. I don't know. I mean, it helps Pittsburgh, but I still just don't know if there's enough gas in the tank, guys. I don't know if there's enough gas in the tank. Like, you're not talking. Are you talking Karlsson gas in the tank, or just the Penguins as a group? Penguins as a group. No,
I would agree with that.
Karlsson's got a couple years left, and you have Letang now. You have Karlsson, so you got some pretty good pieces on the back end. You still have Malkin, still have Crosby, so you got some guys in the front end. But I just look at that front end still and go, I don't know if they have enough real true depth to make a deep run. And so much is going to be contingent on some of those guys staying healthy, and it's difficult when you're older. And I don't know. If I think Karlsson, like, opportunity to win, there may have been more teams out there, but maybe they couldn't cap space wise make something work. And you had to have Montreal involved in this to get it to go. So yeah, I don't know. Interesting. I don't think they win it, but they're a little bit better than they were before.
Yeah, I think that's well. Yeah, no, I would think. I mean, the guy's coming off a 100-point season, and he's going to be playing on a power play that's likely lethal. Gager, I just like it. Obviously, Dubas, when took over, was directed, get Sidney Crosby one more cup run here, right? Like, because if you're Dubas and you're sitting there going, how do we build the future of the Pittsburgh Penguins, because I'm sure he wants to be there for a decade, I don't think you would go, trade for Karlsson. I think the directive is, hey, man, they want to win another Stanley Cup or two, do what you have to get that guy. Obviously, that's what he was told to do, I would think.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Dusty. I think that he did get carte blanche, so to speak, to try to go for one more here. Also, I think if injuries start coming into play and the Penguins find themselves by the trade deadline outside looking in and really having to go on a run or something like that, you have Erik Karlsson there to possibly jumpstart at least a little bit of a rebuild at that point, right? So maybe it's like, okay, you know what? Let's get Karlsson, just had the 100 points. Let him join these other superstars, aging superstars that I still think are good enough to get to the playoffs. And as we know, once you get in, anything can happen as long as you're healthy. But I do think there's a little bit of an element to go, hey, if this doesn't work out, maybe we can start selling off some of these assets and kind of that rebuild on the fly, where you could probably, depending on the season and at that type of year, depending on teams' needs, Erik Karlsson is, well, we saw last year what happened when he was essentially available. A lot of teams were licking their chops, adding a player of his caliber for an extended playoff run. So kind of neat. Two really good defensemen to watch with Letang and Karlsson, two guys that generate a lot of offense from the back end. They're going to be scary if they can put things together.
Tying it into the Oilers, because obviously they were linked to Karlsson and fans would have loved Karlsson. If this Oilers team does not win a Stanley Cup somewhere along the way, would you guys look back and go, man, should have pulled the trigger on something for Karlsson?
No.
I wouldn't either. I was just asking you guys.
Like you got Bouchard. Like, he's going to make how much better is he going to make your power play?
It's tough to be better than the best of all time. You know what I mean?
So, if you wanted to look back at it and said they should have looked and done what they needed to do to bring in another top 4 defenseman, like another one, sure, I'd look back and say, okay, there may have been an opportunity to do that. But to me, I'm not going to look back and go like, oh, they should have traded for Karlsson. Like, yeah. Should they have moved Puljujarvi earlier? I might look back at that and say probably. But
of course you would, you slime bucket. Gager, this is not the one that got away type of scenario here, though, right? Like, would have been cool if you could have fit him in cap perspective, but you have a younger right shot defenseman who probably should put up 70 points for you this year.
Yeah, and you're talking about the Oilers power play, the best in history. But I always thought this a little bit coming down the stretch, and sometimes in certain moments of hockey games, where did the Oilers power play kind of hurt them in a sense that they relied on it almost too much to score all their goals? And I think it wouldn't be so much as Karlsson on the power play, but Karlsson controlling the play and having the puck more 5-on-5 just with his skill with the puck. I think that would be more that would have benefited the Oilers more in that case, having that real stud defenseman that just has the puck half the game.
But do you want 5-on-5? Do you want him to have the puck offensively, or do you want McDavid and Draisaitl too? Like, because Carl's he's a puck carrier. Like, when he's most effective, he's carrying the puck up ice, he's moving it, and then he's stepping into the offensive zone to try to create off the rush. I mean, that's where Carl excels. It's not necessarily, you have ozone time, you have the puck, he's walking the blue line. I mean, he has the ability to do that, and he does create from it. But even if we look at this year, when he produced against Edmonton, a lot of it was off the rush where he's sliding in. Now, maybe I don't know, maybe it helps. Maybe it helps 5-on-5.
I think it does, Cass, because so many eyes. Like you watch McCarr, like it's kind of the same thing. When you have D-men like that can generate something out of nothing from the back end like that, and does it? I think it would take a lot of the pressure away from getting the puck to McDavid or Draisaitl to get those zone entries. Right, all of a sudden you have a guy that's dangerous enough that. And you can't tell me that Connor's not reading the play well enough where all of a sudden you have a guy that can throw a 200-foot sauce pass to you and hit you in stride half the time, right? The old alley-oops. I would have liked him in that respect, but I just think sometimes with the Oilers, with the power play, it kind of, although it was great and it bailed them out of a lot of situations when it counted most, I think they relied on it a little bit too much, where I think generating more offense 5-on-5 and having more zone time might have helped them.
We'll see what happens with them. Sticking with the Oilers for 1 second, because I do want to get to that Tom Wilson contract as well, which kind of ties into a few things. But what do you think of this Sutter? It seemed like it's rumored that the Edmonton Oilers, I think it was Stoff, had kind of first mentioned it, and it's been out there a little bit more. But what do you think of Sutter coming into, I guess it's training camp. I mean, you'll see what ends up happening, but hasn't played in a little while. It's kind of up there. I don't know. It seems like somebody's doing somebody a favor. Is that not what this is?
I don't know. It's the McLeod. Okay, they signed McLeod, right? But
yeah,
I think there's still a few question marks there. Getting us experienced guy that, injuries or something. He's good on draws, though, Dusty. That's a thing. But a couple of years out, I don't know. That's tough.
Cass, what do you think of this? I mean, he hasn't played since 2021. The 2020-2021 season. 34-year-old posted 9 goals, 12 points, 43 games with the Canucks. PTO, I mean.
PTO, it doesn't hurt you to have him coming on a PTO.
It's an extra body in camp.
Extra body in camp. And maybe there is something there. And maybe, who knows, maybe he'd be willing to look at a 2-way deal where, he's probably going to clear waivers. You probably could send him down. And he could be a guy that possibly could step in if you have injuries. I mean, to me, that's, if there's a fit, that's the fit. Is you have him as a backup, not as a primary. But who knows? Maybe he comes in and he's in good shape and he's able to play with the pace. But to me, ideally, if he can, even is that you're going to step in, or he will step in, and he'll help you out if you got injuries. I mean, to me, that
lights the fire.
That's kind of it. Yeah,
lights the fire a little bit in camp. Maybe. Yeah. I like that. Like, you can't tell me that every other person at the center position it's like, oh Jesus, we got this guy coming, and I gotta step my game up and make sure nothing's handed to anyone at this point when you have proven guys come in. He's kind of an enigma in that way.
Tom Wilson gets an extension, 6.5. I don't know, good number, Cass? I mean, I know he does a lot of things. He's only had over 40 points once in his career, scored 23 times, I think, and obviously he's a bit of a unicorn in today's NHL game, and I think he's dialed himself back a little bit. At least we don't hear him do as many stupid things as he has done in the past. What do you think of the Caps committing long-term to him at this stage of his career?
Well, he's a unique player. There's not a lot of guys that play the way that he does. Pretty difficult, I think, to play that way and to walk that line in modern hockey. But he can chip in some points. That being said, it was pretty expensive. Like I thought I was going to be closer like that $6 million mark. Would have, even for a long term, I would have been like, oh yeah, probably around that 6.
Kind of the top end of it, right? Like
the top end of it.
Yeah.
So it seemed like it was more than I thought it would be. But listen, he's a good fit. He's a guy, again, that there's not a lot of them. That power forward physicality that he brings, he can help you win games, and he can help you win games in the playoffs as long as he's not, doing something stupid. And as I've said before, I would way rather have a guy where you have to reel that in a little bit than a player where you have to try to coach that fire and that edge walking.
Can't suck that out of a lot of people.
No,
right?
really, really hard to create it when it's not there. So yeah, I mean, it's not like I minded it. It's just, it's more expensive. than I thought.
Yeah, it's a little expensive, but look at the comparables. Like he's kind of
29. Like you're gonna get him for his early 30s here, right? Like
that's good. There's so many intangibles that he brings. You know, he has the ability. Like everyone knows when he's on the ice because there is the potential of him putting you out for a few weeks, right? And he can score. He's big, hits.
Knocks other people off their game because they get frustrated with him. And
yaps. There's not a lot of guys with his skill set. More than I say that, I think he's worth more.
Gage is going to give him 8 years. 8 years at $9 million. Done right now. Yeah, 8 years, $8 million per. Like, just what are we even waiting for in this situation? Hey, I went and saw the new Indiana Jones movie last night. Have you guys seen that? Did you see it?
No.
It's pretty good.
It's
pretty good. Yeah. It almost lost me at the end. It's not. It would be number 4. Like, it was better than The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull for sure. If I was to watch it again, I might like it more than Temple of Doom, but it's not Raiders and it's not The Last Crusade. But to be honest with you, it actually kind of surprised me at the end. I was just like, are they actually doing this? Like, what's going on? So yeah, but no, you should definitely check it out. And then so I was in Victoria for a wedding, and then my wife and I went out for dinner in Vancouver, and I had a prawn, a big shrimp, right? Is that basically
that's
what
they're called? Yeah,
buddy. Prawns are delicious.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that. I mean, I've had shrimp before, but I've never had a prawn, and I have to say, I know I'm not ready to declare myself big seafood guy, but I got some time for. It was called a prawn sizzle, so it was just like prawns in melted butter. And it was it was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Cass, you ever cook prawns? You're a foodie.
Yeah. Well, I cook prawns, but Mandy doesn't like them, so I don't do it very often because she's not. She
doesn't like the texture of it, or what? Because
she doesn't like the texture of it. Yeah,
it's a little squishy.
And I do. Like I like them, but yeah, she doesn't. So we don't have them very often.
I'd like to see how you ate them. Did you have to rip the head off and stuff, Dustin?
No. And the tails, like everything was off, which was good. So I just knife and forked it, little bites.
Okay.
I'm gonna pace myself, Didn't want to get hung over on the prawns, So all right. So this will be episode 323, Dubas the Hay King. I think that fits well. When people get the reference, they'll get the reference. That's good. Boys, good stuff. We'll talk to you guys on Monday. Have a good weekend. Gager, good luck with the wieners tonight.
All right.